I still have a press clipping of an interview I gave when I was 19. I said then, I want the Joan Crawford of this year to be only a building block for the Joan Crawford of next year. I never want to be second best. I haven't even begun to be what I want to be. I haven't done anything professionally with which I am completely satisfied, although personally I have as a woman. Today, I'd say the very same thing. I'm still geared for tomorrow. I know who I am, what I want to do, and where I want to go. And I've got a long way to go yet as far as my ambitions are concerned. I don't let myself get complacent. I've always pasted the bad notices on my mirror, and I read them before I perform. I'm willing to tackle new things because I've never been afraid to ask, how is it done? Tell me everything about it, and then I work at it until I can do it as well as anybody else. If I'm lucky, better. Robert Gist, actor, director, and one of my close friends, maintains that I approach my work like a child, intuitively rather than intellectually. One of the first challenges I met when I started in pictures was, like a child, to learn how to talk. I was born in San Antonio, and although I left there when I was a baby, something of Texas clung to my voice. They said I was the only girl in Hollywood who needed 4 syllables to say yeah, yes. How I worked. I read out loud by the hour whenever I was alone until I could hear that it was coming right. Much later, I gave myself an even bigger challenge. I adored music, and I wanted to do more than deliver little hotcha numbers in MGM musicals.
Stars that shine above this night of ecstasy. It may be as old as the hills, but it's all oh so wonderfully, refreshingly exciting.
While I was married to Francho Tone, I began studying seriously with Rosa Poncel's coach. And when Rosa came to the coast, she and I sang duets together. Francho, too, was studying opera, and we had a glorious time with our arias from Verdi to Mozart. I had a 3-octave range. I was a contralto, but there was a break in between the middle and the third octaves that I could never overcome. Grand opera was a goal that I didn't attain, but I was the better for trying.
Love is a child believing stories of castles in the air. So, who wants love? I'll go my way without it. I know too much about it. Who wants love?
Anybody with a knowledge of voice knows that vocal training results in a good voice projection, an invaluable asset for an actress. And incidentally, it resulted in a rib cage that's a challenge to my dressmakers. I've tried to meet challenges head on, and I've been lucky in learning how to overcome fears by jumping in. I used to be terrified of horses, so I bought a polo pony. I learned to mount the monster, to control him, and to feel confident. I was so proud of this achievement that I bought a second pony and played polo every chance I got. Then one day my pony suddenly took off down the field at supersonic speed. I lost my head and reined in, forgetting that you never rein in a polo pony. You guide him with your knees. Off we went, and I was helpless. A minute later, a stallion came up a ramp. I couldn't see him, but my pony could. And he came to a dead stop. I went over his head in a triple somersault and landed right on my tailbone. I got back on, but I thought it wasn't worth it. I'd conquered my fear, so what was I trying to achieve now? A broken neck? I didn't need that in my business, so I sold the ponies. I used to be afraid of giving speeches to large groups of people. The first time I was on a podium, I shook like an aspen. It was like amateur night. But somehow I got through it, and the second time was easier. Now it's a breeze. Luckily, since I have a lot of public speaking to do in my job. Perhaps the greatest fear I ever conquered was that of flying. In 1955, I'd never been in an airplane, and I had no intentions of ever climbing into one. But that was the year I became engaged to Alfred Steele, a man whose job as chairman of the board of Pepsi-Cola kept him airborne almost as much as he was on the ground. A huge wedding had been planned at the home of friends of ours in New Jersey. 600 guests had been invited. But a couple of days before in Hollywood, Alfred turned to me at dinner and said, "Joan, let's fly to Vegas and get married tonight, quietly." Panic caught me in the pit of my stomach. Fly? Me? And in that tiny plane of his? He didn't give me much time to think it over. He left the dinner table and phoned his pilot to tell him to warm up the plane. The next thing I knew, I was at the airport. There was no turning back. Alfred held me in his arms as we took off and kept talking, explaining what was happening. We're out of the traffic pattern now, 12,000 feet, and climbing. The mountains are getting smaller. He'd chosen a night when the flying was smooth as silk, but he explained how cloud formations can cause air pockets and turbulence that can make a plane bounce around, and how, no matter how much it bounced, we were perfectly safe. He knew so well that if I understood exactly what was happening, I'd never be afraid again. And I wasn't. I've learned, as my friend advised, to treasure myself, but I still don't treasure the storms. And I've encountered a few in the several million air miles I've logged since that elopement to Las Vegas. But there's been a safe landing every time. When I fly, I try to fly Pan Am. You see, I'm not crazy about flying, but Pan Am is the world's most experienced airline. I don't know what that means to you, but I do know what it means to me. Conquering fears, whatever they may be, opens life up. And this life should be as full of different experiences as we can make it. Too many women build fences around themselves, especially as they grow older. They limit themselves or feel that life has limited them. I'm just a housewife, they'll say. I'm just a mother. And the kids are growing up. They don't need me anymore. I'll settle down to my knitting now and try to live with loneliness. Well, I've known a lot of loneliness. Who hasn't? But I'll never settle down to my knitting and it. There are too damn many exciting things I haven't tried yet. And I'm planning to try quite a few of them.